All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the FIT Cybersecurity webinar this morning. We're excited to present this great cutting-edge information to help you add layered cybersecurity protection to your organization. Presenting our webinar this morning will be the CEO of Forum Infotech, Biren Shukla. Biren is fantastic and a great visionary at leading the way and presenting awesome cutting-edge solutions to help create that human firewall in your organization. So Biren, if you'll go ahead and take it away, and we'll get going this morning.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicole. Appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody. We have a full list of attendees today. We are excited to present this webinar and lots of good content. We have lots of slides and lots of content to cover. So feel free to ask us questions in the Q&A box so that we can answer those questions towards the end of the webinar. Today we'll be covering lots of things. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the innovation happening in the world of ransomware. As you can see, around the 2013 timeframe, we had a tremendous amount, big spike basically in ransomware innovation and variants. That was the first time when we started hearing the word ransomware, right? Because of the ransom lock and crypto locker and all these malware that was going around. You can just take a look and see how much has happened since that time. Now, 2013 was also the year where the cryptocurrency started taking a big foothold with Bitcoin and things like that. So it became easier for hackers to infect your computers and ask for payment in Bitcoins. So I wanted to kind of bring that into perspective for all of you so you can see what happened around that time frame. Let me go ahead and launch a quick poll at this time just to see what our audience thinks about the ransomware. So, all right, there you go. So the poll number 1, has your business been hit with a ransomware attack? So let's go ahead and vote there and hit the submit button. We'll give our users a few minutes. We'll share the results towards the end of the webinar. All right, great. Okay, can we launch the second poll at this point? Okay, great. So this poll is, what do you think was the reason of the attack? If you answered yes to the first question, and even if you answered no to the first question, take a guess and let us know what you think was the result of the attack. Was it your outdated antivirus and firewalls? Was it an unpatched desktop or servers? Was it lack of security awareness training, or was it targeted phishing attack? What do you think was the most common cause of the attack? Okay, great. So when we asked a lot of our SMB clients and users, we found out that overwhelmingly people had antivirus software, current antivirus software, and the ransomware was still able to bypass the antivirus. Additionally, a lot of the users and businesses had email and spam filtering software. They had patch systems, as you can see, and they had some cybersecurity training for employees available as well. So you can see that despite of having all the security measures in place, the ransomware was able to penetrate. What does that mean? That means that a single solution cannot guarantee attacks, and you need a multi-layered approach. It's highly recommended to have a multi-layer approach strategy. Now, we also ask a lot of business owners, to vote, similar to how we asked you on a poll, what was the leading cause of the ransomware attack? And overwhelmingly, people voted that there was lack of cybersecurity training in their organization. So this tells us that this is one of the weak points that businesses have. They are already so busy running and growing their companies that this is the last thing on their mind that they want to worry about. And as IT providers, as managed services providers, we need to recommend solutions for businesses so they don't have to worry about this, get infected, and get their reputation in danger. So essentially what this means is that the missing piece of this whole cybersecurity puzzle is building a human firewall. And what by that I mean is focusing on the employees who are the weakest link in this chain. Um, there's a famous hacker by the name of Kevin Mitnick, and he said the social engineering still remains as information security's weakest link. Very easy today's day and age to uh, call the company and get that new employee who just joined the organization to give out information and manipulate. And there's a very nice quote that I wanted to read aloud for you guys. And he said that you could spend a fortune purchasing technology and services, and your network infrastructure could still remain vulnerable to old-fashioned manipulation, which he's referring to as phishing attack or social engineering attack. So we see every single day companies spending enormous amounts of money in security monitoring solutions, SIEM solutions, keeping their antivirus and firewalls up to date. But one of the things we find time and again is the lack of training and testing your users so that they stay sharp and don't get curious. So what's the impact of all this, the epidemic that we are facing? Well, we again went back to the businesses and asked them and did some our own research to find out what the data actually says. So actually 97% of the people reported back to us that they're being infected or being targets over and over again, and it's becoming more frequent. And at least 99% of the people overwhelmingly say that they are concerned about ransomware. They feel as if they are going to be targeted again in the next 2 years. So what does this mean? This means that we need to do something about it. Additionally, we asked them how much they paid for the ransom. As you can see, ransom is really not the issue here. The dollar amount is not the issue. It's typically between $500 to the $2,000, and it's typically requested in bitcoins. The problem is that out of the 35% people that actually paid the ransom, 15% never recovered their data, even after paying the ransom. Now, out of those 15%, companies that did not have a robust backup and disaster recovery system in place pretty much went out of business. That's what that means. So what we are advising clients that you need to have a multi-layered approach, of course, first and foremost, and you need to ensure that even if you are infected, right, which can happen, you can quickly recover if you had a fantastic backup and disaster recovery system that was ransomware proof. In other words, it had the intelligence to detect ransomware as the backups are taking place, etc. So it's extremely important to bring this and share this with a lot of our clients and prospects so that they can understand the gravity of the situation. As you're seeing more and more, less banks are being robbed, but more businesses are being attacked through ransomware. So. And let's keep talking about who's affected, right? This is another big one. When we meet prospects, we want to get this misconception out, okay? It's not just one industry that is affected. It is pretty much every industry that is affected. Maybe some industries on a smaller scale than others, as you can see from this slide, construction and manufacturing industries make a big portion of these attacks because they can quickly cripple the organization by encrypting all the files and folders on the network shares, etc. And without those files and drawings and things like that, production stops. So they can actually disrupt the business with the attack. We also see a lot of professional service organization. We have some additional data that 1 out of 4 law firms have been compromised and they don't even know it. So again, government, consumer, you can see legal is 24%. It's all over the place. Additionally, we are seeing the ransomware become more and more intelligent, and they are dropping the payload through various different methods. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the webinar. But we were very, very curious, and we wanted to provide some real world examples on how these attacks actually take place. So one of our partners, Dado, who's our backup and disaster recovery vendor, actually went out and hired a company to do this research, right? And what they found is they actually went to a Chinese company and actually asked them to help them understand how do you actually go about launching these attacks. Now they came back and said, well, this is simple because we know that at least one employee in every organization will click on just about anything. Okay, so and they actually didn't stop there. They actually wanted to help us understand how they go about launching these attacks. So just like in a business, in our marketing, we define our ideal client, and we learn everything about the client and the psychoanalysis and all that good stuff, right? The revenue, the dollar amounts, the industries. We do a lot of research. We know who we are going after. Well, the bad guys do the exact same thing. They know who they want to attack. They buy a list and they actually zoom in on the company and they start collecting information about the company. They create a company profile. They try to understand what industry, what types of clients they have. They do a lot of research through LinkedIn to better understand all the different departments in the organization. From accounts payable, receivable, marketing. They also keep an eye on who just joined the organization. They know they read press releases. So they can understand the major announcements, whether it's a new CEO that they hired or a new product that they launched. So when they have gathered all that information, then they go to the dark web. Now the dark web is 500 times larger than the normal web that you and I browse, and that's where all the illicit, buying and selling of data and all kinds of stuff happens. So for over there in an auction, they can easily purchase a work email address and password that was recently compromised on one of the websites. So let me help you understand this before we get a little bit further. You might be wondering, how does my work email and password go to the dark web? How does that even happen? So first and foremost, we all know that we use a small variation of our password and sometimes no variation at all to on other websites. For example, Panera.com, or whether it's Equifax data, or some other websites like Target if you're shopping online, or even Amazon. So a lot of times employees do the same thing. They have the same user ID and password, right? And what happens if Panera Bread gets attacked? All that information ends up in the dark web for sale, and that's how they're able to send a very targeted spear phishing attack on to that new employee. And all they have to do is hope that somebody clicks on that link, enters information, and they can drop their payload on that computer. Now once they've dropped the payload on their computer, they can watch everything that employee is doing, the emails that they're sending, Heck, they can even turn the video camera on if they're using a laptop and take pictures of the person. And again, I'm not kidding you. There's videos available online on YouTube. You can do a search on social engineering and DEF CON. There's a hacker who actually went to the hacking convention to see if other hackers can hack the hacker, right? And they did just that, and they kind of spelled the whole thing out how they did that. So again, this hopefully this is eye opener and good information for you. Additionally, if you're browsing websites, it's very likely that the websites are hacked, and the advertising that you see on the site on the back end has the malware. So this is an example of an ad that you might see or come across just while browsing a normal website. And without even your knowledge, the payload is installed on your computer. So got to keep an eye out for that. Always make sure that the websites have HTTPS. And this is another reason why Google has now asked businesses who are gathering information. So if you're a business that collects any sort of content on your website, and pretty much every business has one form, right, at the very least, like a contact us form, well, then you need to have a website with an SSL certificate. You need to make sure that you are talking to your web hosting provider and making sure that they install a SSL certificate for you, which will convert your website into an HTTP to an HTTPS, which means any interaction that happens, any sessions that are established with your website by the user is a secure connection, and your site doesn't end up infecting their PCs, okay, accidentally. So you need to do that ASAP. I also wanted to share some examples of emails, of very targeted phishing emails. You wouldn't believe, but this is one of the most popular phishing emails that people fall for. 55th anniversary of free pizza from Pizza Hut. Now just think about it for a moment. Is Pizza Hut going to advertise free pizza by email to millions and millions of people? Just think about it for a moment, right? But many employees in organizations fall for this stuff, and as a business owner, you need to be extremely aware about this type of information. Additionally, you can see that there is the American Express and paychecks and all these other types of questions, um, paychecks and ADP, and we have a plethora of phishing emails that we send to our clients. So let's talk about this. What can we do about all this? Now we know that ransomware is an epidemic. It's not going to stop. We also know that employees are going to fall for this. Okay, we know that all the methods that we have in place, the traditional methods I like to call it, are no longer sufficient. Well, what are the two most important things we need to do? Let's talk about those things. The first thing is phishing. Okay, we need to train our employees on identifying a fish and not fall for this stuff. We need to make sure that we provide them small and targeted training material so that they can watch those 15-minute videos, 30-minute videos to understand what is a CEO spear phishing attack and what is a USB attack, or what is a social engineering attack, or what is a phishing attack through voice, also known as vishing. So all these things are extremely important, and we need to do something about it. So Forum Infotech launched a product called Fishnet. It's a complete uh, phishing and training solution that we are offering to our clients and prospects. We have kind of made it part of our package now. We include it for every new client that signs up for our managed service plans. We think that this is extremely important now, just like firewalls and anywheres. And what we do is when we first get the client on board, we launch a simulated phishing attack on all the employees. And very quickly, we determine that 25 to 30% of the people fall for our simulated phishing attack. and we immediately enroll them into a video training, a targeted training, so we can make sure that they watch those videos and get trained. Now we keep testing different departments with different types of emails with the goal to bring that percentage down, okay, significantly. And that's what we are focused. It's a fully managed service that we offer. It's extremely powerful because the employers don't have to do anything at this point. It's just done completely managed by us. And we offer a beautiful dashboard that looks like this, where you can see all your employees who clicked the emails, how many opened the attachments, and how many actually entered the data on those websites. Okay. So, highly recommend that you reach out to us and get some more information on this, because if your IT provider hasn't already mentioned this to you, you need to have this badly today. Otherwise, you won't be able to sleep at night. Now, this is an example. I just wanted to put this out there. This is a slide from Web ARX. I stole it from their site. I wanted to give them complete credit for putting this up. Every single day you're seeing the red bars are showing you the domains, the websites that are being hacked every single day. Just in February alone, there's over 50,000 websites hacked all over the world. So that tells you how much data is being compromised. Some make it to the, to the headlines, and some don't at all. Okay. So again, what can we do about this? All this data is being leaked. Now imagine all this data being leaked and you as a business owner or the office manager not having a clue about this data that is already compromised. So therefore, we launched another service called Fit Detective. Now this is an even more powerful service. It's a commercial version of scans. It's a commercial product that was only available to governments and CI and all these intelligence agencies who had the tools, who had the you know the the software developers and programmers to go out and develop software to scan the dark web. Well, these tools are now available to us, not the same tools, but similar tools where we can go to the dark web, look at the peer-to-peer networks, look at the social accounts and communities, and see what kind of data is being sold. So the way we do it is we basically offer a 24/7 monitoring of www.xyzdomain.com. We monitor all credentials that have xyz at domain.com. So if you're a company with 5 employees or several thousand employees, we are monitoring the entire domain, not just users. So if you have old employees, ex-employees that are no longer working in your organization, to new employees that just joined, any of those employee data gets leaked, we alert you 24/7, and we immediately ask you to change the password, or we do it for you. The report is extremely sophisticated. You get a beautiful dashboard. You can see exactly what happened. You even see the partial password. So this is a quick report just on our company, and we found that the data had been leaked. So we did a test on our domain, and we found a couple of people. Some are no longer working, but some are still working here, including my own data was compromised or actually stolen from Elance, which is an outsourced agency online, and that must have been hacked sometime back. And my personal information was compromised as well with that PII hit that this column indicates. Um, Again, had I not done the scan, I probably don't know, right? And since then I've changed all my passwords, and I've started using a product called LastPass, which pretty much encrypts all my passwords and stores them in a single place. So Fit Fishnet and Fit Detection are both available, are at a very, very reasonable price, starting at $100 per domain per month, no matter how big your company is. We have a promotion going on for the first 6 months. We want clients to get the value out of it. Then it jumps to $199 a month. And the Fit Fishnet is a fantastic product, fully managed. thousands and thousands of hours of video training material available to your employees, targeted phishing attacks by departments, so you can see and have all this visibility. And even better, with our Fishnet product, you can we have a crypto ransom guarantee. So if you are testing, if you're signed up for this service, if you are testing all your employees and they are doing the training, and then if you get infected with a ransomware attack, then our company will pay for the ransom. So it's an extremely powerful service. I highly recommend that you take a look at it. We offer trials of Fishnet and fit detection. So if you're interested, just send us an email and we'll get that turned on for you. Now, it goes without saying, every business owner needs to talk to their broker and get a cyber liability policy. You can't just depend on your provider to have the insurances in place. You yourself need to protect your clients, your data, and sign up for it. And it's significantly come down in price because of competition over the last few years. So the key takeaways from this webinar, and again, I hope I have not gone extremely fast here, but I wanted to keep moving along and not make this a long commercial. I want our users to get something out of it. So let's recap. Okay, first and foremost, you need to have an excellent backup and DR system. If you're doing tape backups, external hard drives, you need to really rethink that strategy. At this point, you need to have snapshots. Your server should be being backed up every few minutes at the very least, and that data should be sent offsite to geographically separate data centers. So make sure you're doing that. If you need more information, please reach out to us. Make sure investing in top of the line endpoint protection software. By that I mean antivirus that is not just database driven and definition based, but a behavioral based antivirus where it looks for behavior and any abnormalities in behaviors. For example, user, a lot of data going outbound and things like that, then the antivirus can actually stop that. Uh, Attack as it's happening. So there is software out there. If you're not familiar with any of that, again, please reach out to us. We'll give you the information necessary. Get a phishing simulator service. Doesn't have to be our service. Of course, ours is the best. We like to think that way because it's a fully managed service. You turn it on and you forget about it. Number 4, get a MFA wherever possible. MFA, multi-factor authentication, also known as two-factor authentication. Most banks offer it, no charge. Lots of other providers are now offering it. It's basically something you know, which is your password, and something you don't know that's unique, which is a challenge text, pin code, or a phrase or a push notification that you get on your cell phone. So even if your password is compromised, the hacker cannot get hold of your unique pin code, right? This is how you can protect your data and your intellectual property. Of course, having a training program, and by a training program, I'm not just saying getting your employees or selected employees in a conference room and asking them not to click on stuff, right? And scold them and punish them, right? And shame them. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is doing this across the board to all the users, because you just don't know which employee will fall for which email and at what time, and it needs to be fully managed. We don't just stop there. We actually print posters and we actually put it in the break rooms to remind employees constantly that you don't want to be a clicker, right? So, so we're pretty excited about Fit Fishnet and Fit Detective. Of course, make sure you're changing your passwords regularly, okay? This is a given. It's a common sense, no-brainer. So many organizations try to give us pushback like, oh, this is too much, or I don't want to have complex passwords. Guess what? Don't try to make it too complex. My suggestion is that you think of a phrase that is unique, something like I love to fly drones, right? Think about that. Now, you can easily make that a password, right? With the small variation, you'll never forget it. It's easy to remember and it's hard to guess. So go with a phrase strategy versus a complex uppercase, lowercase numbers and this and that and all kinds of complex stuff. Number seven, of course, education. Examine the links. Please send it to us or your provider or whoever, the office manager, or whoever you have allocated. When in doubt, always forward to IT. Make sure you're patching your systems. Number eight, all the time. By that, I mean patching your servers, your desktops, your third-party software too, Adobe. Uh, there's so many other products that we use and we don't even know about it that need to be patched from time to time. And if you don't patch those holes, the hackers, the ransomware, the malware can take advantage of those already advertised holes in your software. So you need to take care of that. Okay, so we are reaching an end of towards the end of this presentation. I want to quickly take a peek. I want to encourage all our attendees to follow Forum Infotech. Please like our Facebook page as well as our Twitter feed. And we are constantly posting good information, coming back with relevant information. Again, we're very innovative and a dynamic company that loves we have a fantastic team of engineers who love teaching how you can leverage technology to get ahead in your business. So please reach out to one of our sales reps at sales@foruminfotech.net. Let me quickly take a peek and see if there are any questions. Okay, it looks like we don't have any today, so I want to keep the webinar brief. I want to thank all our attendees for attending this amazing webinar, and thank you for your time today. Again, we'll see you again at our next webinar. Thank you, everyone, and take care.